So over the course of the 21 hours, Ted Cruz ran up against a problem. His children, who had been watching on C-SPAN, would have to go to sleep at some point. And so he decided to take time out of his very busy filibustering schedule to read them a bedtime story. Let's watch.
That Sam I am, that Sam I am. I do not like that Sam I am. Do you like green eggs and ham? I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. Would you like them here or there? I would not like them here or there. I would not like them anywhere. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. I would not eat green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like them, Sam I am. I do not like them, Sam I am. Say, I like green eggs and ham. I do. I like them, Sam I am. But I'll tell you the difference with green eggs and ham is when Americans tried it, they discovered they did not like green eggs and ham, and they did not like Obamacare either. They did not like Obamacare in a box with a fox in a house.
I wish that on every one of those graphics we had a little picture of J.R. Jackson so he'd get credit for it. That was an awesome little montage he threw together of the overacting. Like, this guy is, this is, again, a shallow observation, one of the dorkiest dads ever, apparently, because he's getting so into it. As to the whole fatherhood aspect of this, I love that he's projecting himself again as a father, as a responsible family man. But I've got news for you. Your daughters were watching C-SPAN. I don't think they needed any help getting to bed that night. I think that they would do just fine without the story. But yeah, he was doing his little acting. And it might strike you from listening to his description of it, despite the fact that he very enthusiastically read the "I do like it" line, it does seem that he might have missed the point of the story. And Claire McCaskill was talking about that on the news earlier today.
And I thought it was interesting that Ted Cruz used green eggs and ham. I went to the University of Missouri. I did not go to Harvard. But I'll tell you this, my daughter texted me this morning and said, "Mom, does he not know the point of the story? It's that you can't knock things until you try it." And which is ironic that he used that in the filibuster, because I think when people realize how these exchanges are going to work.
Cruz went to a lesser Ivy.
Exactly.
Yeah, that was full of great stuff. I think he was just piggybacking on her reference to Harvard there. She feels the need to throw Harvard under the bus, I guess to make her seem more like an everyday American, I suppose. But yeah, she has a slightly better understanding of the story. I understand it's complicated. There are a lot of subplots and all of that. But yeah, the story only has one message at the end of the day. It's that, yeah, you can hate something because it looks weird or it's out of the ordinary or you don't know much about it. But when you actually try it, you might in the end like it. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there are some things that you don't need to try to know that you would not enjoy. But we keep it simple for the children, I suppose. Apparently not simple enough for him. Now, there are a lot of books, I suppose, that we are okay with Ted Cruz not understanding what they actually contain. Like the Bible, The Origin of Species, any book on climate change, perhaps. But he's actually read this, apparently multiple times in the past, and still does not understand it. And I think that he was trying to cover for himself in the end when he said, well, in this case, they don't actually like it. But of course, we understand that what little information most Americans have about the Affordable Care Act has been misinformation. The president, I think Chuck Todd was attacking him last week. The president has not done the best job of explaining what's in the bill, perhaps because it's incredibly complicated and it involves many different changes, many different systemic changes. And so it's hard to explain. I understand that. Much easier to attack it, much easier to just put some sort of creepy guy in an Uncle Sam costume who's about to, as Jon Stewart says, anally finger bang some guy. That's much simpler to sell than actually understanding all of the ways that this will help some of the structural problems in terms of the cost of healthcare that we have as a country going forward. Ted Cruz had a couple of other weird moments in his speech there. At one point, he was referring back to something Rand Paul had said, and it got weird. He brought up Star Wars. Let's watch.
Where he said something to the effect of, we need a rebellion against oppression. It reminded me of a movie series that was in the theaters when the senator from Kentucky and I were both kids, young adults, and that was the Star Wars franchise. The discussion of a rebellion against oppression, I think it captures a lot of what's going on here. And I will confess that phrase, a rebellion against oppression, conjured up to me the Rebel Alliance fighting against the empire. The empire being the Washington, D.C. establishment. And indeed, immediately on hearing that phrase, I wondered if at some point we were going to see a tall gentleman in a mechanical breathing apparatus come forward and say in a deep voice, "Mike Lee, I am your father."
Yeah, so Ted Cruz is apparently an idiot of galactic proportions because he both gets the entire message behind Star Wars completely wrong, which we'll get to, but also, like, he didn't even cover his mouth like you're supposed to when you do Darth Vader. I mean, even when we have Bane impressions here, we go to that length at the very least. But yeah, so he tries to portray both himself and Rand Paul, who engaged in a much more significant and meaningful filibuster earlier this year, as rebels fighting against oppression. Indicating here that Obamacare, allowing people who did not have health care because of pre-existing conditions or an inability to pay for it, or whatever the reason, them being offered health care is the same thing as every Jedi being wiped out across the galaxy and whatever else it is that the rebels are fighting for. It's not exactly explained very well in the original movies. Maybe you need to read the expanded universe books or something to get a better idea of it. But it seemed like a bad situation. And when you compare healthcare policy changes in America to galactic level oppression, you demean the actual oppression that's going on both inside of America and around the globe. Like, there are actual oppressive governments operating right now as we speak. There are many countries where you can be locked up for a number of years or possibly even killed for engaging in homosexual acts. There are places where parties or individual politicians have been executed or locked up because of their political opinions. Look at Russia right now, their views towards homosexuals. There's real oppression that sometimes is a life or death matter going on in the world, and so I think that it's silly with consequences to refer to the Affordable Care Act in the same sort of language. And so again, this is later on in his filibuster that he engaged in this. At some point, after speaking for 21 hours, I'm sure that your wits go to some extent. He didn't really have any breaks or anything. And he's trying to seem folksy and he's trying to seem cool. He's coming off as a dork. He's coming off as an idiot, in my own personal opinion. I don't know how much credit we should give him considering how long he'd been talking. But yeah, the problem when you are a conservative is that there's not that many great examples in popular culture of strong conservative figures that you can ally yourself with. And so you very often have to pretend as if liberal or progressive figures, these tolerant, heroic figures, are in fact conservatives. And so he tries to glom on to Star Wars there, when really, what do they have? I mean, they've got Atlas Shrugged, perhaps. I mean, conservatives seem to love that, even though she was, a government funds-taking atheist. Engaging in multiple affairs and things of that sort. She's like the conservative figure, but they have to pretend that Luke Skywalker or Han Solo are on their side, which is a complete joke.